from Progressive Field in Cleveland, where this afternoon, WGN Sports presents White Sox baseball. Jose Abreu, Avi Garcia, Melky Cabrera and the Sox as they get set to butt heads with Jason Kipnis, Michael Brantley, and Terry Francona's Cleveland Indians. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Ken Harrelson with Steve Stone as we get set to bring you the finale of this three-game set, and it will be the rubber match. They won the opener by a score of 12-1. It was an ugly ball game. Then last night we took game two by a score of 4-3, but it was a very unusual ending that you don't see very often.
Well, you've heard about walk-off home runs, walk-off balks, walk-off singles, walk-off everything, except you very rarely, if ever, hear about a walk-off pickoff, and that's exactly what happened. Abraham Almonte got a little careless at first base, and in a 4-3 game, he was picked off to end the game. Terry Francona wanted to take a look at it, but Almonte just shook his head saying, he got me. What else can you say? Great move by David Robertson, and that's how he saved number 30. So this is what it did to the Cleveland Indians. It really was a big loss for them. Moved them back to 4 games back. As you see, Houston, they held on last night. Los Angeles won a doubleheader. Minnesota dropped back to 2.5 games. But for the Indians, they pretty much have to sweep the board if they want to have any chance. And that was a most unusual ending.
Well, today's starter for them, a guy named Josh Tomlin, has really pitched well since his return from shoulder surgery. But we got him for 3 runs and 5 2/3 a little earlier.
He's one of those guys that has to be letter perfect with his control, and lately he's thrown it awfully well. You see 5 2/3 with 5 hits and 3 runs, 3 solo homers. That was it. So he did throw the ball well, susceptible to the long ball, and if he's not letter perfect, you can get to him. But he's 5-2 this year, so things have gone very well. And it's tough to come back anytime from surgery, but especially a little later in your career. Johnny Danks has been throwing it very well lately. His last 3 starts, he's 1-1. His ERA 2.45. And the ball seems to be coming out of his hand very well. He's showing no signs of fatigue whatsoever. The only problem is he's had a tough time against these Cleveland Indians over the course of his career. We'll see how that works out today. Let's take a look at both of our starters. Against the Indians career-wise for Johnny Danks, 5-13. Against the White Sox, Josh Tomlin, 1-2 with an ERA up over 4. And so this is a ball game that the Sox would like to win. This is a game that the Tribe has to win.
Well, we have won 6 out of 8 here at Progressive Field this season, so let's make it one more. It's a great day to win a ball game, so sit back, relax, and strap it down. White Sox baseball coming your way.
Cleveland. We've just got a few minutes before our first pitch between the White Sox and the Indians. Earlier this morning, Robin met with the media and was asked about the young players, specifically Rob Brantley and Micah Johnson.
He's been good. I think, seeing him in spring training, he had a bad, break there with his thumb, getting out of spring training. But, I think the catching and receiving part has been nice to see. You also get a left-handed bat, but, game calling stuff, I thought he worked great with Carlos yesterday. So, you're trying to get him with guys he's either familiar with or, hopefully he can get those starts with EJ and Carlos going down the end. Yeah, I think he's just a little more headsy on what he's, reaction off the ball, things like that. We know he's fast. We know he's got range. It's just being more comfortable getting to certain balls, how he reacts to certain ones. He still sits back a little bit, but you need him to get after it and come up and get the good hop when you can get it.
Stay with us. It's Johnny Danks and our Sox looking to take the rubber match, and Hawk and I will have the call of today's game right after these messages.
Brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light Pilsner. Cheers, it's Miller time. By Honda. Start something special with a great deal on Honda. Now at your Honda dealer. By Subway. Make a smart play for savory subs this season. Score more flavor at Subway restaurants. Subway, eat fresh. By Ford, America's best-selling brand, inviting you to go further in our fuel-efficient vehicles. Check out our entire lineup at your Ford store or at localfordstores.com. And by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers, who invite you to test drive our award-winning lineup today. Visit buyhyundai.com.
Chicago White Sox baseball in high definition is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. And welcome back to Progressive Field on a beautiful day for baseball in Cleveland. And the Indians take the field, so let's take a look at how Robin is going to line up our Sox for the game this afternoon. Adam Eaton leading it off, and then Jose Abreu once again in the 2 spot. Melky Cabrera, who's hit very well in this ballpark, .353 with 3 homers, 10 driven in 8 games this year. Lifetime, he's a .341 hitter in this park. Then it's Trace Thompson, Avisail Garcia, Alexi Ramirez, Mike Olt, Tyler Flowers, and Carlos Sanchez rounding it out. The defense and how they'll line up behind Josh Tomlin. Michael Brantley in left field, Abraham Almonte in center, and Lonnie Chisenhall in right. It's Mike Aviles at third base. Francisco Lindor had a tough game last night at shortstop, along with Jason Kipnis and Carlos Santana. Yan Gomes gets a nod behind the plate, and Josh Tomlin on the hill. 5-2 is ERA .270. This is 8th start. Had shoulder surgery, missed 4 months of the season. He's completed 2 games. Opponents just hitting .172, which for a guy that's not overpowering is a pretty good number. The umpires for the game this afternoon: Todd Tifner behind the plate, Chris Siegel is at first, Mike Everett is at second, and Tim Welke is at third. Last 12 on the road for the Sox. Things have been going pretty well at 8-4. The batting average 282. The runs per game, which is astounding at 6.1. Hits per game 10. So offensively, 25 doubles, 38 extra base hits, and the starter's ERA very respectable at 3.25. That's the reason why you play 667 baseball in the last 12. And Robin, taking a look at his mostly young ball club and hoping they can win the finale of this series before heading to Detroit. So they're throwing the ball around the infield, which means we're ready to play baseball, and I'm ready to turn it over to my play-by-play partner, Ken Harrelson.
All right, Steve, thank you. And once again, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to White Sox baseball right here over WGN-TV. Finale of this three-game set. It is a rubber match, and before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours. So here's the first pitch of the ball game. Adam Eaton is taken for a strike, even though it was not.
We'll see if that's going to be the width of the plate for Todd Tichenor. If it is, then it'll be a fairly fast game because that's fairly generous away.
One and one to count. Adam comes in hitting at 279, 13 homers, 48 knocked in. He's 3 for 9 with an RBI in this series. Fouls that back. Sox come in hitting at 253 as a club with a 4.03 ERA.
Tomlin's got a very good straight change, and that was a straight change he threw to Adam Eaton because he's not overwhelming. He's got to keep just about everything down, and he does move it in and out and up and down.
And there's a good way to start it. Lines that one into left field.
Gomes wanted this fastball up. You can see where the glove is, but Tomlin gets it waist high, and it cost him a base hit.
So here's Abreu. Jose 2 for 9 in the series, comes in at 295, 29 long ones and 93 driven in. Still trying to become the second player in baseball history with 30 or more home runs, driving 100 or more runs his first 2 years in the big leagues. Albert Pujols is the only one. Abreu has faced Tomlin 3 times, has 2 hits. One of them was a home run.
It's going to be pretty difficult to hit the ball out in right and right center because the wind is blowing off the lake, meaning it's cool, but the wind is blowing in from right center field, meaning anything up in the air that way is going to get knocked down.
Just a decent lead by Eaton, long set, and he takes ball 1. 19th and final meeting of the year between these two clubs. In the first 18, Sox have won 10 of them. Two and 0 the count. And here at Progressive Field, 325 down the line, 370 in left center, 375 in right center, and 400 straight away center. It's going to be a busy place downtown Cleveland.
You would think so, with the Browns playing, maybe a good hard 6-iron from here.
And that one called a strike, so the count 2-1. I've been coming to Cleveland since 1963. I think, I'm not sure, positive, but I think this is the first time I've ever been in Cleveland when the Browns were playing the home game.
Really?
Yeah. That evens count at 2.
That's a pretty good slider as he kept that low and away. Gomes thinking about maybe throwing to first base, but had the ball stick in the webbing of the glove and couldn't get the handle on it.
Outfield shading him slightly to the right. Tomlin, 30 years old, 6'1", 190, out of White House, Texas.
He's been in this Indian organization a long time. Drafted in the 19th round in 2006. He's been with the tribe ever since.
Ate him up with that one.
One thing that's had all kinds of difficulties for Tomlin has been staying healthy. You look at his career record and realize that right elbow strain in 2011, right wrist strain in 2012, right elbow reconstruction in 2012, elbow rehab in 2013, and shoulder surgery this year. It's been a tough go for him.
One out. So with one out, one on, let's check out our picks to click. Jim Angio, Mike Cleary, Dave Ross, and the crew going with Michael. Steve's going with Adam Eaton. Don Esposito, Mike Spadali, Matt Nykiel, and myself. We're going to go with Trace Thompson. Here's Melky. And there's they get him. Bit of a delayed steal and double clutch.
I think Adam thought he was in with the left hand. And it was a delayed steal, and sometimes you can get a catcher partially in his throwback to the pitcher before he realizes it, and Adam thought he had the play beat. We'll take another look. He does hesitate a bit, and Gomes hesitates a bit, but still gets it down there
in time.
And Mike Everett says the tag got the body before the hand got the bag.
So he's now 15 for 21 in stolen bases. One and two the count to Melky. Melky 2 for 8 in the series, with a homer and 2 RBIs. Couple of strikeouts. They'll throw them out. 3 hitters. And after half inning of play, it's our guys nothing, and the Indians coming to bat.
Francisco Lindor, Michael Brantley at the top with Rayburn, Santana, and Aviles in the middle. Yan Gomes, who's really liked what he's seen of Johnny Danks, along with Lonnie Chisenhall and Abraham Almonte rounded out. The defense and how they'll line up behind Johnny Danks, left to right, Melky Cabrera, Adam Eaton, and Trace Thompson in the infield. Mike Gold, Alexei Ramirez, Carlos Sanchez, Jose Abreu, Tyler Flowers behind the plate, and Johnny Danks on the hill. John looking for win number 8. His ERA a little above 4.5. This is 28th start. He's always had some problems with the Indians, and hoping that this particular day will be an exception to the rule.
0-2 this year against him, 5-13 lifetime. So here's Kipnis. Jason hitting at .301. 8 homers, 49 knocked in. He was 2 for 4 last night. Breaking ball.
Kipnis was the man standing at the plate when Almonte was picked off first base.
And there's a Kansas City special right off the end of the bat. Another breaking ball.
Last night he started off with a bloop double down the left field line, and this is a curveball. He reaches out, catches it off the end of the bat, and dumps it into center field.
So here is Lindor. Francisco, the shortstop, hitting at .316, 10 homers, 42 knocked in, 3 for 8 in the series with a homer.
Lindor, switch hitter, hitting .339 right-handed, .304 left-handed.
And the first time he's faced Johnny Danks. Well, I was sort of, in a way, glad to see him have a tough night last evening in the field, because it was like, no, this guy's too good.
He's pretty good.
Well, he's real good. The point is, he's still putting his pants on the same way everybody else does.
And he's 21 years old, and Terry Francona was talking about the fact that he was pretty happy also that Lindor had the kind of night he had, not because it cost him a ball game, because in the grand scheme of things there were a few other things that went on, but he said being 21, you learn lessons in this game. This game will teach you lessons every day. And the lesson not only Lindor learned, but a lot of the young players watching Lindor last night, was that you can't take anything for granted, that every play is a world unto itself, and you've got to bear down and keep your concentration each and every play. And the one thing that happened was he held on the ball too long and let Adam Eaton beat out a routine ground ball to shortstop. He had done that 3 times earlier in the season. He hadn't done it since, but he did it last night. And again, a reminder that you got to know who's going down the line, and you got to concentrate.
Gap out there in right center. Two and two the count. Kipnis, 11 for 19 in stolen bases. That's high and back in the crowd. Well, you learn, certainly coming up through the minor leagues, that the game is different than you were when you were in high school or college. It's faster. And you make mistakes. But the learning curve at the big league level is much more ingraining, so to speak, because the mistakes are magnified so large. Here they are trying to get to postseason. He makes those bad plays last night. If you make them at the minor league level, you don't like it and it hurts, but not here anywhere near as much. Just got a piece of that one. Meanwhile, barring injury, he's going to be here a long time.
With all kinds of skills. Terrific arm, very good range. He's going to be able to steal a whole lot of bases because he does have good speed and a good feel for base stealing, which good speed doesn't necessarily translate to. The rest of his game from both sides of the plate, when you've got a switch hitter that's going to have power from both sides, get yourself a very valuable commodity. They made him a first-round draft pick, so they thought a whole lot of him, and it certainly has worked out well.
And that's another foul back into the seats.
Is going to be at the very least a 9-pitch at bat, so Lindor is doing what he can do to stay alive, following up some pretty decent pitches.
Giving us decent lead. He gone. One out.
Finally, Johnny threw a good straight change, and he had him well out in front of it. He probably didn't want it on the inside part of the plate. He got it there, so it wasn't location as much as velocity that fooled Lindor.
Here's the left fielder, Michael Brantley, hitting at .315, 15 homers, 83 knocked in. 4 for 9 in the first 2 games of this series with a couple RBIs. 7 for 30 lifetime off Danks with a home run.
Last year, Brantley hit 20 home runs, drove in 97. The RBIs, probably he won't get to that this year, but what a player he is. And he's had a bad back most of this season and refuses to come out of the lineup.
Out and around that one. Outfield for the most part straight up. Gap out there. Small gap in left center.
Lexi's playing up the middle, thinking about Brantley taking it back that way. They do give him a gap on the left side of the infield. Not that he's a dead pull hitter, but he'll hit more balls on the ground as a pull hitter, and in the air pretty much straight away.
2-1. Indians hitting at .257 as a club with a 3.76 team ERA. And that one's yanked foul.
Johnny used to have more problems with left-handers than right-handers because of that good straight change. But after the All-Star break this year, for whatever reason, left-handers have just a .234 on base percentage, which is really good. The league average is .329. So he has found some way to neutralize the left-handers that he didn't have in years past.
Here you go. 2 down.
This time he throws a good fastball. It's down and in, out of the strike zone. It gets Brantley to expand that zone. And you get a guy who doesn't strike out very often, striking out. He had only fanned 48 times in 517 at bats before that strikeout.
Here's Rayburn, 2 for 6 with an RBI in the series, hitting at .299, 7 homers, 28 driven in. 17 for 50 lifetime off Danks with 4 home runs. Count evens at 1. Just a decent lead. And that's fouled back over our heads. So 1-2 with 2 out. Changes his motion just a bit.
It looked like he tried to speed it up somewhat, thinking that if Kipnis was trying to steal, he would try to get it to Tyler Flowers a little quicker.
And that one's fouled away. Other action will show Kansas City at Detroit. Angels taking on Minnesota at Target Field. Halos swept a doubleheader yesterday. Boston at Toronto. Baltimore at Tampa Bay. Nasty Nats at home hosting Miami.
Join us at U.S. Cellular Field on Saturday, October 3rd, as the White Sox host the Detroit Tigers at 6:10. First 10,000 fans will receive an exclusive stretch sale action figure. For tickets or more information, visit whitesox.com.
I think Tyler caught part of that foul tip right there, and now he's waving Hermie and Robin off. But they're going to come on out anyway.
Got it off the right forearm. Unfortunately, he is wearing a sleeve, so either anticipating that or he'd been hit a few times in the same spot. And he catches it right below the elbow. That's not too pleasant.
This has been a tough month for Tyler. September. He has been beat up a whole bunch. So the 2-2 pitch. And a full count.
This is where Sandy Alomar, the first base coach, is telling Kipnis, make him throw the ball. Last thing you want to do on a 3-2 pitch with 2 outs is get picked off, and Kipnis has very little of any lead.
And that hits the seam of the grass, kicks it foul.
That's surprising for Rayburn against us. That usually is a trickler affair, and there's nothing you can do with it.
Sox will conclude this series. Go right down the street a little bit to Burke Airport, board our charter, and going over to Detroit, where tomorrow will be a split doubleheader. And that's ball 4. So 2 on, 2 out. And here comes Santana. Carlos hitting at .238, 16 homers, 72 driven home. 2 for 7 in this series with a grand slam homer. That coming off Chris Sale.
Last 4 years, Santana has averaged close to 100 walks per year, including 113 last year. Santana right at 99 walks this year. So he is fairly selective.
One and one to count to the 29-year-old switch hitter. They're going to go to third base for the force, and that'll retire the side. So it'll be a 6-5 fielder's choice. He hit in 2, and after 1, no score. Trace, then Avi, and Alexei. Pitch right at the top of the zone, taken for a ball. 2-0.
I was in a good situation against a pitcher that doesn't have a real big fastball.
And he didn't walk anybody. He's got 50 innings, giving up just 31 hits, 44 strikeouts, and 3 walks. Count evens.
The early season projections had Gavin Floyd in the starting rotation. Gavin, of course, was hurt again. We did see him when we were back in Chicago. Tomlin has emerged.
That's popped up. Aviles.
Sox fans, you can manage along with Robin by logging on to WGNTV.com and click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner for the latest stats and information. The Sox Game Zone is powered by Robert Morris, University of Illinois, offering over 55 athletic teams, and that's more than any other university in the state. So for more information on RMU, visit robertmorris.edu.
Here's Avi, the DH this afternoon, hitting at 263, 12 homers, 56 knocked in. Toronto hitting in the bottom of the second, leading Boston 2-0. Home run, 2-run homer by Yonder Navarro. And that's fouled back and into the seats. The 1-2 pitch.
That hit him.
Indeed it did. It's just the second guy he has hit this season.
Avi's gotten hit now 8 times as he rides one up and in on him.
Actually, he hit himself right there. Turned right into it. So here's Alexei. Outfield straight up, spaced about equidistant. Nothing into the count. Ball and 2 strikes.
It's hard really to guess along with Tomlin because he does have 4 pitches and he can get all of them over the plate. This looks like a slider.
Just missed.
Just missed inside.
Ivy, 7 for 14 in stolen bases. Two down.
That's the third strikeout, and this was a slider and a dandy. See where it shows up? Not exactly on the corner, but certainly low and away.
That'll bring up Mike Olt. Hitting at .239, a couple of homers. He's driven in 3. 1 for 7 in the series. Wind still blowing in from right field. But a gorgeous day. Great day to win a ball game. Count evens at 1 to Olt. That split doubleheader tomorrow in Detroit. First pitch at 12:08 Central Time. It'll be Jeff Samardzija against Kyle Ryan, who's the southpaw. Then in game 2, that'll be a 6:08 Central to start. Eric Johnson against Randy Wolf. Wolf, another left-hander.
Randy Wolf, a real soft-tossing left-hander.
Did not check it up. Then on Tuesday, it'll be Jose Quintana against Daniel Norris. Norris, another left-hander. So 3 left-handers in a row before we catch Justin Verlander on Wednesday. And he'll be opposed by to be announced. That pitch off the corner. They originally had said Chris Sale against Verlander, but now that has been put on the back burner for a little bit to see. Decent lead by Ivy. And a full count to Mike Olt.
Nice stop by Yan Gomes, who's a very good defensive catcher. He had some knee problems, put him on the shelf for 6 weeks. About 2 weeks into the season, hasn't fully recovered yet. Stops that ball that was flattening out on the hop. Make sure it doesn't get by him.
Good job right there by Olt. Fight that pitch off. And there's a good at bat. Second, checked at first. Walk issued by Tomlin.
In the game with a
mentioned, he only had 3 walks coming in 50 innings. So here's Tyler Flowers. He's 1 for 7 against Tomlin. Outfield bunch just a bit straight up. And he takes low and away ball 1.
So a hit batsman and a walk in the same innings for Tomlin. That's uncharacteristic wildness from him.
Now he's got the catbird seat. That slider missed low and away. Oh, good rip. But underneath it.
Got an 88-mile-an-hour fastball up in the zone, right down the middle. You see where the 3 appears. That's a mistake, and he got away with it. I'll be able to get a very good lead at second. Nobody's paying much attention to him, and that's pretty good because the arms in left and right are good and pretty accurate. Although Chisenhall, a former third baseman, playing right field.
High into left. Brantley makes the catch, and we have a mild threat. Can't score after an inning and a half. No score. And Chisenhall to face Johnny Danks. Mike Avila is hitting at .239, 5 homers, 17 knocked in. He has faced Danks 33 times, has 12 hits, one of which left the ballpark. fakes the bunt and takes the ball.
All he wants to do is make sure that he brings Olt in at third base, or at least thinking about it, so in case he gets one in, he can take it by him.
And that's foul back to our right. That's hit hard, but very foul. So the count 1-2.
Dunn left that one well inside, and if you do make any contact, it has to go foul.
Chris Siegel said he did not go.
Borderline went Aviles' way.
Full count. Off the end of the bat. On that changeup. 1 out.
Check out the White Sox baseball blog at WGNTV.com, sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your local nationwide insurance agent serving the area for 37 years. To join the nation, visit jeffvuk.com, because Nationwide is on your side.
Here's Yan Gomes. Gomes at 218, 11 homers, 43 driven in. And softly hit into left field. Gomes now 6 for 11. Lifetime against Danks.
Picks on a first pitch, looked like a cutter. And John got it where he wanted it. Got it inside, but Gomes able to pull the hands back and wind up aboard.
So here's Lonnie Chisenhall, the right fielder. He takes low ball 1. He's hitting at 250 with 6 homers, 39 driven in. Make it 7 homers. He's now 5 for 8 lifetime off Danks, and it's 2-0 Cleveland.
.741 on the power numbers as Chisenhall gets a high fastball, a Mazda replay, and takes it out of the ballpark. Even with the wind blowing in, he crushes this ball. Doesn't go out all that far, but normally would have gone way back. Trace Thompson takes a couple of steps and then just looks up.
There's Almonte. Takes ball 1. Abraham 2 for 8 in the series with a big pickoff coming last night, bottom of the 9th inning. There's a strike to even the count at 1. Just thinking after the game, I've seen it happen before, but I just can't remember when.
I've seen pinch runners put in a game and get picked off to end the game. But doesn't happen too often.
Well, Jordan Danks got picked off to end the game for us. Not against, I believe, Houston it was. But and then we were playing Houston a few years ago. We had a 1-run lead. Top of the 9th inning, we were at home. 2 out, man on second base, and he got thrown out trying to steal third. That's by Olt, so that will be the 6th double for Almonte.
And all these Indians fans give Almonte a little extra cheer as he winds up at second base, only because they realize that it was a tough night last night. You come to a new ball club. He was traded over from San Diego, doing a pretty decent job, swinging the bat very well from both sides, playing nice center field. And then he's involved in something that, if it doesn't cost him the wild card, it's not going to help him any. And I think a whole lot of people realize that nobody felt worse in this ballpark than the man standing at second base.
No, he did. But he just had a brain cramp.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, those things.
It happens. He just blow against it. Kipnis had a little Kansas City special to start off the ball game. Little off the end of the bat single, softly hit into left center.
Nobody can really explain why one pitcher will have tremendous success against a team that happens to be a better team than the team he's facing here. Johnny Danks completely handcuffs Kansas City, and Kansas City is awfully good, especially on the offense. But against Cleveland, he has a hard time regardless of what kind of team Cleveland has.
That ball hit high and deep to right field. Traces back right in front of the fence. Jumps, makes the catch. That wind kept that one in the ballpark.
Yeah, he is very fortunate that the wind is blowing off the lake in from right field. Otherwise, it's a 4-0 game. Nice play by Trace Thompson as he went back, measured it all the way, and able to make a leaping catch. This didn't stay in by much.
Well, Trace has good baseball acumen. He has good sports acumen. Coming from that family he comes from. Got good genes, good brain. He's going to be a real good player. Lindor takes the strike. Struck out on a changeup. One and two the count.
With runs in scoring position, Lindor's been outstanding. 354. That's pretty impressive.
And that's going to go foul. Or else it would have been another run.
That was a good stop by Tyler as that ball bounced way in front of home plate.
And it's 3-0.
The young hitter was able to adjust because he struck out on the same pitch in the first inning, and John went back and threw the straight change here, and Lindor stayed back on it and ripped it through the left side. That's going to bring Don Cooper out from the dugout. Wants to talk with Johnny Danks. 43 driven in for Lindor. And a 4th hit of the inning.
Brantley can't get it. Five and 13 lifetime against Cleveland, 10-2 lifetime against Kansas City.
Pretty amazing numbers.
Well, we've seen it all our lives. Some guys go out there, just throw their glove out there on the mound, they're going to beat a certain club. Other guys, lesser clubs, they go out there, they get it handed to them.
They get killed. I know.
Yeah.
No rhyme, no reason why it's one way or the other. One of the oddities about scoring right now, there's 6 games being played. 5 of them, the score is either 3-1 or 3-0. The only exception, Atlanta leading Philadelphia 1-0 in the top of the 3rd in Atlanta.
Close pitch, didn't get it.
Apparently trying to stretch out that back. Same problem that he's had. Heard it in spring training. Doesn't know exactly how he did it, but it had stayed with him all year long.
Sanchez. But they put a crooked number up there. We'll go to the 3rd trailing 3-0. It'll be Sanchez. And back to the top of the order with Adam Eaton and Jose Abreu. Takes the pitch well off the plate for a strike. That one had to plate. Meanwhile, 0-2. Why not?
Well, the first one was called a strike, and he figured, you know, if I go out another 3 inches outside, maybe I can steal another one, but that was not to be.
Well, he got a cookie right there and missed it.
This one's in the zone, and it was a curveball that just rolled. Fouled it off. He's got a good slider today. Again, very rare to have a good curve and a slider in the same day.
Ate him up and went out.
White Sox fans, celebrate your culture with Hispanic Heritage Night on October 2nd, presented by Miller Lite. There's going to be Latin dancing and music, special activities for kids, an on-the-field parade, and a post-game fireworks show. It's not just a good time, it's Miller time. Miller Lite, the official beer of your Chicago White Sox. Tickets start as low as $10 to purchase. Visit whitesox.com/NHH.
Here's Adam Eaton. There's an at-bat right there by Carlos, so you've got to learn how to take that at-bat and turn it into a positive. You got to walk back to that dugout while you're walking back. That's a very critical time in a hitter's mind, because even when you pop one up or you get a pitch right down the middle and you pop it up or ground it out, you know exactly what went wrong with your body, why you were not able to square it up. But in that at bat, you got to be walking back to the dugout saying to yourself, all right, that's my fault, Carlos. I got a cookie there and I didn't do anything with it.
So he didn't get Carlos out. Carlos got himself out.
Exactly. But you got to be able, that way you can take the sting out of it, because that pitch misses. Because you've rationalized it in your own mind, and you know how much rationale comes into the mind of an athlete. You've got to have it. You got to have a short memory. You got to have a lot of rationale. That's into left field. Brantley back now on the track. Here's Abreu, struck out his first trip. That's what real good players do. They have the ability to turn negatives into something positive, rather than let that negative wear on you. Curveball.
That happened to be the best curveball that he's thrown, and one of the things you're taught, and a lot of pitchers can do it, some can't. Talk about not throwing your best curveball on strike one, because the only time you can strike out a guy is strike three.
That ball high and deep into center field. Stretch! Get on back there. It's off the wall. I think Jose thought he got enough of that one, but that wind kept it in the ballpark.
Normally that would have been more than enough, as he really cranked that ball to center field.
Picks up his 33rd double.
This one is high off the wall. And after that first good curveball, this is not a particularly good breaking pitch. So he followed up a very good one with a very bad one, and it cost him a 2-base hit. Would have cost him a home run, but for that wind blowing in.
Here's Melky. He struck out his first trip. And that ball hit in the right center field. Almonte there makes the catch. Wind knocked that ball down too. Wouldn't have been out of here, but it would have been deeper. Meanwhile, it's still 3-0 Cleveland. 3-5-0 for them. 0-2-0 for us. It'll be Rayburn, Santana, and Aviles. Ryan Rayburn walked his first trip.
He followed up a straight change with a fastball inside. Rayburn wasn't able to catch up to it, even though it was 88 miles an hour.
In case you missed some late scores last night, Pittsburgh, Liriano beat Kershaw out in LA 3-2. Big win right there for the Buccos.
Especially knowing that the Cubs had already won. Pittsburgh fell behind to Kershaw, which is not an enviable situation to be in. They came back and beat him. And Pittsburgh has a 1-game lead over the Cubs. Pittsburgh 4 games in back of St. Louis. It's a pretty good race because it has not only the division championship but the wild card ramifications.
That one's fouled off right side.
St. Louis clinched postseason play, but they have far from clinched the division title.
And the Cubs on a 5-game winning streak. That's off the end of the bat, but it finds a hole. The magic wand of Ryan Rayburn against us. Then when he hits it hard, it's out of here.
It's been pretty remarkable, as John has not retired him yet. A walk and a base hit. Seventh pitch of the at bat. That changeup had a little too much of the plate. And he takes it through the left side.
So here's Santana hit into a 6-5 fielder's choice to end the first inning. Can't get that change. That's popped up. Abreu got room.
Hey, Sox fans, join Ron Kittle, Harold Baines, Avisail Garcia, and Carlos Sanchez on November 28th for the Sox on the Beach Apple Vacation. This 7-night all-inclusive hotel stay will be at the Iberostar Paraíso del Mar in beautiful Riviera Maya, Mexico. There's going to be a private welcome party and an autograph session, food and drink, special group activities with your White Sox hosts, and more. Visit applevacations.com/White Sox to book your trip today.
Mike Aviles takes ball 1. Well, the Pirates in pretty good position going into the finale of that series with the Dodgers today. They got Garrett Cole going against Mike Bolsinger. Chase is a bad one. Garrett Cole 16-8 with a 2.60. Mike Bolsinger 6-3 with a 3.13. So Bolsinger's been pitching well. out at Safeco. Seattle taking on. Check that out down in Arlington. Look at this. Get fouled. It will. Mariners taking on Rangers down at Arlington. That's Felix. King Felix against Derek Holland. They're underway at Houston. As they host Oakland. That's between the wickets.
That goes as a wild pitch. Curveball in the dirt, flattens out, and gets by Tyler.
And stays down.
For John, that's the 8th wild pitch of the year.
Fighting that sun. 2 down. And that'll bring up Yan Gomes. Single softly in the left field and scored. Toronto leading Boston 3-1. That's in the top of the 5th inning. To Rogers Center. Mark Burley going for his 15th win. He's 14-7 with a 3.62.
Just another excellent, steady year from Mark Burley.
That's in two. Hit softly by Gomes, so that'll retire the side. And we're into the 4th, trailing 3-0.
Debit card only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/White Sox to learn more. Wintrust Bank, member FDIC.
Trace Thompson will lead us off. He'll be followed by Avisaíl Garcia and Alexei. Trace 0 for 1, popped up to Avila's at third. He did not go. One and one to count to our leadoff hitter here in the top of the fourth. Two balls, two strikes. Well, one of the guys on that Toronto Ball Club that just picked up, everybody's talking about pickups, is a guy named Ben Revere. Yeah, it's a good pitch. One out.
When you're looking for slow stuff, even if a guy's fastball is 88, it looks pretty good. And that one was pretty good. 88 frozen.
So here's Avi. He was hit by a pitch. He himself turned into it. Well, Revere, in the last 30 games, hitting at .355 for the Blue Jays. Last few games, and done a whole bunch. But last 30, .355. With 26 runs scored.
Ben Revere came out of the Minnesota organization and was a good center fielder. The only thing he can't do is throw, but he can certainly run. He can hit. They had, in fact, Denard Span and Ben Revere at the same time.
Well, he was their first round draft choice.
Yeah.
So
good
he can
player.
play. Close pitch. Goes Avi's way. Two and one. Big hack and no contact. So it's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Another guy for Toronto's making some big plays and getting some big hits is that Ryan Goins. Yes, he did. 2 down.
That's 5 strikeouts already for Josh Tomlin.
Here's Alexei. He was number 3. That strikeout list. And the 0-2 pitch. That ball hit into right center field, and nobody's going to get it. So Alexei with his 28th double, coming with 2 out here in the top of the 4th.
Almonte just missed this one. Alexi hit it awfully hard. This is a high fastball out away, and he reaches out, gets it, drives it into the gap. Wynn held it up long enough so Almonte was able to at least get a shot at it. He missed it. Good piece of backing up by Chisenhall and holding Alexi at second base.
That'll bring up Michael, who walked. One and one the count.
Young man
got to play.
Yeah. Certainly helps to bring your glove.
Two out and the 1-2 pitch.
And here's what happens. I pop up.
And look on that face.
He's got a snow cone in one hand and a souvenir in the other.
Gomes keeps it right in front of him. Full count. Underneath that one. That walk to Holt back in the second inning. Just the fourth walk issue by Tomlin this year. Make it now the fifth walk. And here's Tyler. Tyler with a chance right here. One swing of the bat to tie this way, go up. He popped up to left field back in the second. That was with a couple of guys on. Tyler now 1 for 8 lifetime against Josh Tomlin. Close pitch goes Tyler's way. Count evens. Big game tonight at Citi Field. As they host the Yankees, that's Sabathia against Harvey. That's off the corner. 2-1. cues that one foul. 2 on, 2 out, 2 balls, 2 strikes. And a full count. That's going to be in the seats. And once again, the payoff pitch. We'll go to the bottom of the 4th. It's still 3-0 Indians.
Food and beverage options, and you can enjoy them prior and during White Sox games. For more information, call 312-674-1000.
If you're just tuning in, they scored 3 runs in the second. 2-run homer by Chisenhall. RBI single by Lindor. So here is Chisenhall.
In the second inning, got a high fastball, turned on it, and even into the wind, he hit it out of the park. That led off the scoring.
That pitch down low to even the count at 1. Final meeting of the year between these two clubs, as we mentioned. Sox have won the season series 10 games to 8. Couldn't get that curve. 1-2.
Lonnie was a former first-round draft pick, 29th pick overall in 2008 for the Tribe.
That buzz him inside. Ate him up. He ate himself up right there. So 1 out.
This ball is about 2 inches inside off the corner. And Chisenhall trying to get the hands in. Didn't get a whole lot into this swing.
Here's Almonte. He ripped a double by Mike Olds down into the left field corner as fakes the bunt and takes the ball. One out, 1-1 to count. And that evens it. Left center field. We got a man there. 2 out.
Second baseman, Jason Kipnis.
There's the strike. And Kipnis with a 2-1 count.
Jason hit the daylights out of the ball in the second inning, only to see it stay in the ballpark and Trace Thompson make a terrific catch on it.
And that's back to the middle. He's 2 for 3. He's now 10 for 32 lifetime with a home run off Banks. Francisco Lindor struck out on the changeup and then got a base hit RBI single on a changeup. There's another one. Couldn't get that one.
Most hits in the major leagues since June 14th. Bogarts, Kinsler, Altuve, Duffy of San Francisco, and Francisco Lindor.
3 shortstops in that group. Just foul.
All season long we've talked about the proliferation of great young shortstops coming into baseball. It seems like these days it has become the glamour position, because there's some good ones.
Better believe there are. better believe there are. All my years in this game, this has been the best young group of shortstops coming in. Now hangs at 0-2. Well, we got so many good young players. It's just tremendous to watch. Baseball is well positioned for a long time. You got your Bryce Harpers and your Mike Trouts.
Some great young arms.
And you got a 24-year-old out there in Denver that can play a little bit too. A couple of them, as a matter of fact. Sanchez has got him. And that'll retire the side. That's Carlos Gomez.
Field. It's accessible from the 100, 300, and 500 levels. Young Sox fans can learn baseball fundamentals from Chicago White Sox Training Academy coaches. Space features batting and pitching cages, base running areas, and more skill instruction. It's all from Xfinity, your home for the most live sports.
First pitch strike to Carlos Sanchez. It was outside, but still called a strike. Twice he's gotten Carlos in a hole with a bad pitch. Oh, and 2. Almonte, a little short out there in center. That's another bad pitch. He just took the bat right out of his hands. That's brutal. I mean, it really is. That's terrible.
Well, you see where the fours lit up. The first pitch and fourth pitch seemingly in the same spot, both off the corners.
Yay. Want to know the count. That's into Michael Brantley territory out there. Crowd number 2. 3-7-0 for them. 0-3-0 for us. Both have stranded 5. So here is Jose, a strikeout. That was in the first inning. Then he hit one. He just killed one. Wind kept it in the ballpark. Hit off the wall in center field for a double. His 33rd two-bagger. Takes that one right down the middle. There was a cookie, just a little too quick, just a little foul. But to count nothing in 2.
Against the Tribe this year, Jose has certainly liked their pitching. He's absolutely crushed him.
Too much time. And the count evens at 2. It's full. Just tuning in, all 3 of their runs coming in the second inning. And that's ball 4.
Well, there's 4 of them well out of the strike zone. And I think he wants to check with Tim Welke. I believe it's 4 of them.
Go to first base, he said.
He should go to first base. You only get 4 in this league.
He's got as many walks today as he had coming in for the season. Has a total of 6. So here's Melky. He has struck out and he has gone out, hit the ball hard, but that wind just knocked it down and kept it in. Well, it wouldn't have been out, but it would have been deeper. Takes first pitch strike. Strike on Carlos Sanchez. They're playing behind Abreu. That ball hit hard. He got a good jump, and he makes a nice catch. That's another hang. Whoop 'em. Parker Cabrera. We're halfway home, trailing 3-0. 3-0 Cleveland here in the bottom of the 5th inning, as there's a curveball strike to Michael Brantley, who was struck out, and he's grounded to second. Out in front and very quickly. 0-2 the count.
Johnny's still looking for his first 1-2-3 inning. Would love to have it here and keep his pitch count down because he's up there. That's 95 pitches.
Two balls, 2 strikes. I don't think I've ever remember the season where we had more hitters lose count at the count.
Hitters,
this year.
Fielders we've had. Yeah.
And that's chopped foul. He gone. He knew it.
Steady diet of off-speed pitches. Then he throws him a fastball, puts it in a perfect spot. And for the second time, a guy who doesn't strike out very much does indeed go down on strikes.
And just the 3rd strikeout for Johnny. As here's Rayburn, he has walked and he has singled softly in the hole between 3rd and short. One.
And at 101 pitches, it's the Indians bullpen that is loosening. It looks like the Sox bullpen is starting to stir.
Two and two.
Zach McAllister, the hard-throwing right-hander, throwing in the pen.
And a full count. So he has reached base all 3 times. What new?
Check in during your visit to U.S. Cellular Field using MLB.com Ballpark to unlock offers and rewards. The official U.S. Cellular Field Ballpark app for your iPhone and Android smartphone perfectly complements and personalizes your trip to the ballpark with maps, mobile check-in, seat upgrades, and more. Download MLB.com Ballpark today or visit WhiteSox.com/ballpark app to learn more.
That pitch up high to Santana, who is hit into a 6-5 fielder's choice, and he is fouled out to Abreu. Two and 0. There was a strike, head part of the zone. 3-0. Chase Thompson, so Terry turns him loose and he flies out to right. Ancona, as we mentioned yesterday, he will use the 3-0 offense more so probably than certainly anybody in the American League. I don't know about the National League.
Jake Petrichkin loosening up in the pen.
Michaelis takes strike one. And that'll retire the side. Win to the 6th. We need 3 to tie. Here in the top of the 6th inning, 3-7-0 for Cleveland. No runs, 3 hits, no errors for us against the 30-year-old right-hander Josh Tomlin, the soft tossing pitcher. As that's fouled back into the crowd, Trace has popped to third and struck out. Curveball strike. Kansas City leading Detroit 8-3. Top of the 5th inning at Comerica Park. Minnesota leading the Angels 3-0. Bottom of the 3rd at Target Field. 1 out.
Hey, Chicagoland viewers, it's time for the Subway 6th inning. Text Subway to 97999 right now for your chance to win 6 meals from the Simple 6 menu from Subway. Message and data rates may apply. Subway, eat fresh.
Here's Avi. Avi was hit by a pitch and then he struck out on a check swing. That's into right field. Chisenhall broke back now. That wind knocks it down. 2 out. In that Minnesota 3-0 lead over the Halos, Torrey Hunter is at number 21. Eddie Rosario is hit number 11. Here's Alexei, a strikeout and a double. Oh, and 1 to count.
That's pitch 101. And just in case, Terry Francona has McAllister up and ready in the pen.
Flips that one into the seats. Souvenir time.
Eight strikeouts, 3 walks.
Top of the 4th in Houston, tied at 1 with Oakland. There's a shot that's going to be down into the corner, so he's going to pick up his second double, and that's number 29.
So this is the 3rd double of the game, and it's the 3rd double hit with 2 outs and nobody on. So that double is going to be the last pitch that Tomlin is going to throw. He's going to leave the ball game. And that probably means McAllister is going to come in. So we'll step out and be back after these messages. Enough stuff for a lot of strikeouts, 8 of them as a matter of fact. So Tomlin is not known as a strikeout pitcher, but still strikes out a lot of people because of the off-speed stuff. Was in command today. Gave up just 4 hits, 3 of them doubles. And he'll leave in favor of Zach McAllister. We've seen McAllister in this series. He's 3-4. His ERA a fine .316. On for the 56th time. He is a fastballer. Will throw the occasional off-speed pitch, but very occasionally. And usually when he doesn't get it over the plate. But he does have a big fastball, and he's been very effective.
Two out, 1 on. And here's Mike Holt. who's been to the plate twice and walked twice. Takes that one at 95, ball one. Two and 0. Two out, 2 balls, 2 strikes. And we'll go to the bottom of the 6th. It's still 3-0. Cleveland.
Including an autographed jersey of the 2005 White Sox. You can also win tickets to Fan Appreciation Day on October 4th and much more. Visit whitesox.com/summer sweeps. We got a new pitcher that's coming in the ball game as that young fan is, well, just exhausted from watching the 3 runs. And Zach Putnam with a 3-3 record, a 348 earned run average on for the 45th time. Opponents hitting still a very low 218 against him, and he inherits from Johnny Danks, who went 5. Gave up 6 hits and all 3 runs with a couple of walks and 3 strikeouts, and the big blow coming, of course, off the bat of Lottie Chisenhall, who started the scoring with a 2-run homer. Other than that, John threw the ball very well.
Yan Gomes will lead it off. It'll be the lower third of the Indian order. Gomes, Chisenhall, and Almonte to face Zach. Gomes, 1 for 2, a single, a soft single, and a run scored. Takes first pitch strike. When I won the count. And that one's chopped foul. And they got a piece of Todd Tichenor. One ball, 2 strikes.
That splitter jumps up and bites Tichenor. And if you got a catcher hitting and a catcher obviously catching, then you got both guys can empathize with the umpire, and so they both take a little extra time.
We have stranded 7 guys in this game. They have left 6. Count evens. That ball hit hard. It's off the top of the wall.
Well, take another day and that ball would have been above the exits. That was a blast and didn't make it out of the ballpark. I think Gomes realized he got every bit of it, but it somehow stayed in the yard. This is a splitter that just stays there, and Gomes hit the daylights out of it, high off the wall and right to Adam Eaton.
So the leadoff double, that's his 16th two-bagger. He thought that ball was out of here. And that ball hit into left center field. Melky can't get there. So back-to-back doubles, and it's a 4-0 game. Chisenhall now 3 RBIs.
Chisenhall with 42 runs batted in for the year, and this is another one that drifts out over the plate. Looks like a splitter again, and Chisenhall, it's a line drive that Melky's got no chance. You've always liked Lonnie Chisenhall. You think he can play third base in the major leagues?
I do, if they teach him how to do it.
He got a nice bat.
Almonte, almost every time he comes up there, he's going to fake a bunt, or in fact lay one down, as he did. That was in yesterday's game for a base hit.
Tyler was going to throw to second base. They might have had a shot at Chisenhall as Alexei snuck behind him, but Tyler lost the handle.
The majority of great third basemen and first, but especially third baseman in the last pops that one back, not playable. Last 40 or 50 years have not been great third basemen when they came into the league. They developed into being great third basemen, and they did that by getting their fannies down. It's almost that simple, and yet you see so many stand-up third basemen. The game is just too quick when you're a stand-up third baseman or a stand-up first baseman. Ball gets there too quick. I've said this many times. When Robin Ventura first came up, he was a butcher down there. He couldn't play third. He was totally at best, just decent. Doug Manzolino wore him out, teaching him how to get low and get down, and all of a sudden he became to his own at third base and became one of the best in the business. That ball hit hard. Look at the play by Trace. Beautiful. He got a good jump, timed it perfectly to save another double.
This is a rocket. Trace is off with the crack of the bat, goes up very gracefully and makes the catch. This ball is also scalded.
Trace is as graceful as any outfielder in this league.
Looks pretty good. The guy just getting here. Infield in at all four positions.
For Kipnis, who is 2 for 3, also with a deep drive to right center field. That back.
With a runner at third and 1 out, Indian hitters have scored at least 1 run 64% of the time. Sox pitchers have given up at least 1 run 75% of the time, with the league average at 66.
Three and 1 to count. Third walk issued by our pitchers.
And here comes Don Cooper with some sage words of advice for Zach Putnam.
So Coop has his say. Coop can say something that no other pitching coach in baseball can say. The last 10 years, he's got more quality starts from his starters than anybody in baseball. So here's Lindor. He's 1 for 3 with an RBI. He's a good-looking young player. Wow. And it's 5-0.
Drives in his second run of the game, 44th of the year. And it's a towering but well hit sacrifice fly to center field. So Lindor has now hit his 6th sacrifice fly in just 86 games.
So here's Brantley. Michael 0 for 3. Yeah, let's take another look at this swing by Lindor. Watch. Now watch. See, he did not try to do too much with that. Didn't turn the head of the bat over too quick. There he hit it hard and he got a sacrifice fly. Ball hit hard by Brantley. Nobody's going to catch that one. That's off the wall. They're going to wave him around. Here's the throw to the plate. It's not in time. And it's 6-0 on the 3rd double of the inning. That's number 45 for Brantley.
And number 84 runs batted in. Zach has gotten hit awfully hard this inning.
Well, Zach is, because of that groin injury,
he hasn't been the same since he came back.
He has not been the same. Prior to that, he was just outstanding.
I don't think you can push off near as well. You come back from that, and there's got to be some residual weakness in there. I'm not saying there's any pain, but certainly some weakness. And when that happens, then you got a problem. And we have seen he is not the same pitcher.
Here's Rayburn. Prior to that groin, he was getting everybody out. One and one the count. That was a good pitch to hit. He just flat missed it.
Frankie Montas loosely in the pen.
He gone, but some damage is done. Another 3 spot goes up there, and we trail it by 6. here in the top of the 7th inning. That'd be Flowers, Sanchez, then back to the top of the order with Adam Eaton.
Zach McAllister in for Josh Tomlin. Tomlin went 5 2/3, no runs on 4 hits, walked 3, fanned 8. And he is the pitcher of record.
First pitch strike. Tyler, who has popped up to left and struck out.
Sox bullpen up and going. It looks like Robin's going to make a change.
1-2 the count. That was a good pitch. 1 out.
Keep up with the pennant races in true HD quality on MLB.TV Premium. #1 live streaming sports service. College students enjoy a back-to-school offer with 35% off discount. Authentication required. Blackouts and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV today.
Carlos is grounded to first and struck out, called out on a terrible pitch. To another count. And a 3-0. So the 1-out walk, and they'll bring up Adam. Adam singled, and twice has gone out to left to Brantley, once deep.
Short word, trip to the mound by Yan Gomes, trying to settle down McAllister.
That evens the count at 1.
Tribe has a day off tomorrow, then they head to Minnesota for 3 and Kansas City for 3 before ending the season at home. And they've got 4 with Minnesota. They play them 7 times.
That ball hit deep in the left field, and that's going to be over the head, off the wall. So Eaton. Adam with a double, putting Sanchez at third. For Adam, that's his 25th two-bagger.
And we'll take a look at how the Indians are going to wrap it up. 3 at Minnesota, 3 at Kansas City. Then they come back and play 4 with Minnesota, and they finish up with 3 against the Red Sox and the possible makeup. And I'm sure Detroit is looking forward to this right here against the Tigers, if need be, on Monday, October 5th. Tigers are used to that, though. They remember a few years back when they came to Chicago in one of those games that preceded game 163. And Freddie Garcia started that one as our Sox winning the second of 3 win or go home games, and they won it.
Well, we played 3 different teams in 3 different games.
And 163rd, that game
That was something.
was an unbelievable performance by Johnny Danks and, of course, Jim Thome with a towering home run that won it 1-0. Probably the best game Nick Blackburn ever threw.
He was good. There's a strike. So Abreu now with a chance to pick up 1 or 2 RBIs. He's 1 for 2, a strikeout, a double, and a walk. Oh, and 2 the count.
Ground ball in the infield, picks up 1.
Jabbed him. Get down. Be fair. It will. So now they're going to wave him around. Here's the throw to the plate. It's high. And it's a 6-2 ball game. That is a typical Kansas City special right there.
And it gets him ever closer to joining Albert Pujols as the only 2 players in the history of the game in their first 2 years to drive in at least 100 runs and hit at least 30 home runs. And this is right off the handle, dumps it into right field, makes this a 4-run game, and he now has driven in 95.
So McAllister will depart, and Brian Shaw will come on, and we will be back.
To 5 on for the 27th time. And Terry Francona decides, and probably wisely so, to face Melky Cabrera from the right side. Last 2 times up, he hit the ball very hard from the left side. So he'll inherit Abreu at first base. It's now a 6-2 game. Got a little less comfortable for the Indians. And Melky can make it a little less comfortable for the Indians.
Melky has faced Crockett 1 time, and he has 1 hit, and it was a home run. So Abreu, short lead. Milwaukee takes first pitch strike. Six 10-0 for them. 2-6-0 for us. Ball hit hard. Rack him up. And that'll return aside, but 2 RBIs for Abreu. He now has 95, and we trail it by 4.
Under Xfinity Speed Replay, we'll highlight the defense of Trayce Thompson. He's made a couple of fine catches. This one against Jason Kipnis. Kept that ball in the park. Kipnis can't believe it. A terrific play. And this one, a line drive rocket, easily could have gotten over his head. It didn't. And Trayce Thompson looking both graceful and very athletic in the outfield. So we've got a new pitcher coming in the ball game, and it is Frankie Montas. Hard throwing right-hander. On for the 5th time. His ERA 1.29. That speed replay that we showed you by Xfinity. Your home for the most live sports. Frankie's got to leave an indelible impression that everybody in this front office is going to carry with him into the wintertime. They know he's got a great arm. And in the role he's asked to play now, which was different because they had him as a starting pitcher this year, he's working out of the bullpen. And if you can show the versatility of being able to do both, obviously you're going to be in much better shape. Frankie's got to show he can get the ball over the plate, because there is no debating that he's got a big enough arm to pitch successfully in the major leagues. There you see the shadows and how things work out right now. Montas is in the shadows, and there are the light standards on the third base side, making it very difficult, you would think, to see the ball.
So here's Santana. He's 0 for 3 today. Takes that one high and wide. 6-10-0 for them. 2-6-0 for us. Both teams have stranded 7. We have not hit the ball with what you would say was anywhere consistent basis today, except for Alexei, and Eaton's hit the ball well. Brady hit one hard off the center field wall for a double. Then that little duck snort. Kansas City special for a 2-run single. That's fouled down. Full count. Well, Frankie's going to have to show Robin Ventura and Don Cooper he can get something off speed over the plate. He can do that. He's going to be in the mix in spring training.
He might not have to do that if they're thinking about him as a late inning man. But certainly if there's any consideration for a starter, you're right.
I'm not even talking about a starter. I'm talking about a reliever. He's the hard thrower. But there he gets him right there. If he can get something off speed over with that fastball he's got, he can be something out of that bullpen.
Just on the outside corner. He's got some late breaking, very sharp breaking pitches.
There's Aviles, 0 for 3. He's grounded to short, fly to center. And he also is grounded to third. That pitch just a little bit low. Logan's bat. Alexei, that'll be a base hit. That's tough play.
Well, Aviles isn't the fastest man around, but he runs fairly well, and Alexei knew that. So what he had to do was reach down, grab it, and throw it from the same position. And that's easily a base hit. Not much of a decision there. He goes in on the backhand, having to throw it and losing it on the transfer.
Here's Gomes. A single, a double, couple runs scored. Feels decent lead. In the old ballpark, it's at where the new football stadium, of course, is. This time of day, first baseman was in trouble. Sun would sit right in between the slats up there at the upper deck and right in your face. Is there as a strike?
Certainly wasn't distracted by the fans, because there wasn't too many that showed up until they put together a whale of a baseball team and moved over here.
Two and one to count. Right at the top, missed, and the count 3-1. He had a good rip at it, and it's full. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Outfield slightly to the right. Just turning in, they scored 3 in the second and 3 in the sixth. We scored our 2 in the top half of this frame. There he goes. He gone and he gone. Strike him out, throw him out, and that'll retire the side. We're into the 8th, trailing by 4.
Appearances, and this year he's on for the 68th time with plenty more awaiting him. ERA 2.65. He's been very good. Has an opportunity to save 5 games. He only saved 2 of them. He is a setup man and not a closer by trade, and he's been one of the better setup men around since coming over from the Arizona Diamondbacks in a deal that got them both Brian Shaw and Trevor Bauer.
It'll be Trace Thompson, Javi Garcia, and Alexi Ramirez. You saw those 2 beautiful catches that Trace made earlier. He's 0 for 3 today with the lumber, pop up, a couple strikeouts. And takes first pitch strike.
Last year when Brian Shaw led the league in appearances, it's the first time an Indians reliever had led the league in appearances since the 1950s. That short, quick breaking slider is his best pitch, but he has a very deceptive fastball because of that motion.
Oops. In and out of the hand.
An error? Get charged with an error?
Yeah. Have to give him a big E. There's a shot on a roller. That's hit hard down in that corner. So a good way to start here. Trace with his 7th two-bagger.
Really nice to see a young hitter having a tough day offensively, but jumping on a mistake. It's a mistake that Shaw made, and he doesn't get away with it. Trace reaches out, ropes a double into the corner. That's a 5th double for the Sox today.
Yeah, so Don Esposito, Mike Spadali, and Matt Nykiel's picked to click with a double and a couple of beautiful catches. There's a little shove to the right side by Avi. So 1 out with Trace in the 3rd.
Now hitting for Chicago, number 10, Alexei Ramirez.
Alexei a strikeout and 2 doubles. He now has 29. Pretty good pitch. He didn't get it. He's faced Shaw 13 times and has 4 hits. Watch out. Close. And it goes Alexei's way. Well, there he made another mistake with one and got away with that one. Shaw in his career against us hadn't hung a lot of them.
No, he hasn't. He's been a very good pitcher. Last year in those 80 appearances, his ERA was .259, so in 2 full seasons, an ERA of about .260 combined. That's pretty impressive.
Full count to Alexei.
That was an interesting swing. That ball was a good maybe 7-8 inches inside off the plate. And he's looking at his hand. It's that's hitting with the shortest arms you'd ever want to see.
If they get any shorter than that, he's going to crack a rib. And that was more of a just to get me over slider. He got it up. Top of the zone. Meanwhile, he's still swinging.
It's going to be at the minimum a 9-pitch at bat. Is Alexei battling, trying to drive home the run and get on base.
And once again the payoff. They'll get the job done as far as getting the run home. You won't be on base. But it's a 6-3 ball game.
58th driven in by Alexei. The Indians at this point will trade the out for the run.
So here's Mike Olds, 0 for 1 with a couple of walks.
We haven't seen Cody Allen in this series, but the way this is going, it shapes up to be his game.
That was a strike. Another slider. Indians had another pitcher that used to wear us out with a slider. I believe Joe Smith.
Boy, he was tough on the right-handers. Went to the Angels. He's been pretty good there too.
Oh yeah. Yes, he did. And that'll retire the side, but the double by Trace Thompson. Ivy got him over. Lexi got him in, and we trail him by 3.
Sox 11-7. Gomes and Chisenhall combined 4 for 7 with a home run, a couple of doubles, 3 driven in and 4 scored. Tomlin 5 2/3, no runs, 4 hits. He fanned 8, and Abreu has driven in 95 runs with his 2-run single. The Honda Game Summary brought to you by the Honda Dream Garage Sales Event, now at your Honda dealer. And Dan Jennings comes into the ball game. So Danks for 5, Putnam for 1, Montas for 1, and Jennings coming on for the 46th time. He's 2-3. His ERA 4.32.
So the 4th pitcher, and while we have a moment, I want to take a little time here to thank Mike Leary, our producer, who's down in that truck, and this is going to be his final game with us this season, because Wednesday he'll be back with his Blackhawks sitting in that truck in Detroit doing that game against the rival Red Wings. I want to thank Mike for another terrific season. Also wish he and his lovely family, Nicole, Emerson, and Cameron, a wonderful winter. And we've enjoyed it, Mike.
And he wanted you to know that anytime you want, it doesn't matter where, he will be able to get you Blackhawk tickets. Blue line, 8 rows from the bottom.
You keep going like that, he's liable to knock you out.
You got to stay away from him the rest of the day.
Monty Chisenhall. And we got Mike's co-worker, cohort, great friend, Dave Ross, will be with us just for a couple more games before he goes to the Blackhawks as well. Right side sucked up by Sanchez. So Chisenhall's retired. He's now 2 for 4 with that 2-run homer, another double, and a run scored.
Folks here at the ballpark cheering because they just put up the final score of the Browns game. They beat the Titans 28-14.
I understand Manziel had a good game.
Yep.
Hey, that youngster for Notre Dame yesterday had a good game too. Quarterback is there's a base hit in the hole by Almonte. He's now 2 for 4 with a double. And then Notre Dame defense against the #1 offense in the country just dominated.
Until a couple of gratuitous touchdowns late, the defense
the game was over.
Just stifled.
Yeah. When they had to, they stuffed them. Here's Kipnis. He's 2 for 3. He also walked, and then that walk came around to score. Minnesota now leading the Angels 6-0. That's in the top of the 6th at Target Field. Those Twinkies, I'll tell you, there's something. They just won't go away.
That was a big doubleheader loss for them in the games yesterday, but they've certainly outperformed everybody's expectations.
They got that TWTW, and they've had it all year long. Kipnis and a big sweeper, and the count 0-2. Bottom of the 7th. Down at the juice box. Houston still leading Oakland 3-1. That'll be a wild pitch.
The slider in the dirt, and on the play, Almonte goes into second.
Kansas City still leading Detroit 10-3. 10 runs on 18 hits for the Royals.
Cody Allen loosening in the pen. what Kansas City is trying to do, and they will pick up a game, is home field advantage throughout the playoffs.
Well, they got a good shot at it. 18 hits. Oberst has 3 hits. Kendrys Morales is 4 for 4 with 5 runs scored. Paulo Orlando, he has really done a terrific job. Former White Sox farm hand for that club. He's 2 for 5 with a homer, a couple of RBIs. Christian Colon playing for Escobar at short today is 4 for 5. And that's going to go foul.
You would assume that Kansas City is going to win that game. Toronto has already lost by 4-3 score to Boston. That'll mean that Kansas City will be up 2 games on Toronto for the best record in the league.
That's going to be interesting. That's why September is always such a great time, especially when you're playing meaningful games. One out, and once again the 1-2 pitch. Nope. That's popped up softly. Old. 2 down. And here's Francisco Lindor, the shortstop, who is 1 for 3 with a sacrifice fly and also an RBI single. Now she's got 44 RBIs. Michael Brantley on deck. Jacks it up, takes a strike. And that'll retire the side. We're into the 9th. We need 3 to tie.
bat, Lonnie Chisenhall. There was no score at the time. And Johnny Danks throwing his 24th long ball of the year. That made it 2-0. The Indians have never trailed. Fourth drive of the game as we look at Cody Allen. Hard throwing right-hander. Comes to this at 2-4, but his ERA 3.30 out for the 64th time, looking for save number 31 in 35 opportunities. He's got 92 strikeouts and just 25 walks. A terrific curveball, fastball timed upwards of 97. And he comes on to try to nail it down here in the top of the 9th inning.
Gordon Beckham has come out to hit for Tyler Flowers. Tyler was 0 for 3. So Gordon hitting at 205, 4 homers, 18 knocked in. Allen out of Orlando, Florida. Four is that 96-mile-an-hour over for a strike. In a good spot.
Gordon has 3 pinch hits this year. The only Sox player who has more, J.B. Shuck, who's got 7.
Very quickly 0-2. Let's give him a finish. Start us off right here, Gordon. And the 0-2 pitch. 1 out.
Now to the plate for the White Sox.
12 strikeouts now for Cleveland pitching today. And here's Carlos Sanchez, has grounded to first, struck out and walked. Santana with a good feed, good play, 2 down.
That turned out to be a terrific play as Santana was prone, realized he couldn't get up, so from his posterior he made a good solid throw to Allen. Ball trickles away, he's got it, and gets a little something on this throw to get him at first.
So that'll bring up Adam Eaton, 2 for 4. Santana's only made 3 errors this year. There's first pitch strike.
Not bad for a converted catcher. Converted third baseman and current first baseman.
Playing first base is a lot easier than catching.
Yeah, I think everything's a lot easier than catching.
0-2. Six 12-0 for them, 3-7-0 for us. It's like the series. The season series is going to be Sox 10 and Cleveland 9. And this ball game is over. So they take the rubber match. They win it 6-3, and we'll be back.